Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream with Echoes of Empire. I am Amir, who will be your host today. I work here at the Gala team. I'm on the product side of the business and kind of been working with Echoes and bringing that along to the Gala platform. I'm joined here today with Matt Lee, who is the producer on Ion Game side and has been leading the charge on Echoes. So I'll kick it over to Matt to give his intro. But yeah, super excited for us to be doing this, guys. It'll be great. So Matt, take it away.
Yeah, good to see you guys as always. Good to be here chatting with the community. Yeah, excited to talk about Echoes. We've done a few of these, but we've got some special stuff today.
Yeah, I think today's going to be a pretty exciting one. I'm super stoked on it. It'll be a lot of fun. Uh, and on that note, so why don't we kind of dive in a little bit to that immediately? So Matt, what do you wanted to talk about today? Like, what's on your mind? Let's go with that question.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the question on everyone's mind is the December Alpha. December Alpha. Um, we've been very hard at work. The team's been super focused on it. I've been talking about it over the last couple of months. And yeah, the team is still hyper focused on that. We're still feeling good about that happening. And today, I think maybe we could talk about it maybe a little bit more than we've been talking about it before.
Exciting, very exciting stuff. Yeah, just a quick shout out. I know Artemis had dropped a survey to the community to get some questions from you guys. So I will be filtering some of those out to Matt, letting him, pick his brain a little bit on those. And I also myself have plenty of questions to discuss too. So I think the big one though that I think makes a lot of sense is everyone keeps saying we need a leak, we need a leak, we need a leak. And I don't know, Matt, do you have a leak that you could possibly share for us today? I mean, it'd be cool if you do, man.
Artemis has been bugging me about a leak. Artemis has been bugging me quite a bit about a leak. So we prepared one. We definitely prepared one. I think we got a special one. We are actually going to show the build today. We're going to show a version of the build. We've got a version working. It's still being polished, so bear with me a little. There's going to be some rough edges. We're still, like I said, the team is still working super hard on getting the build over the finish line into the hands of all of our Celestial Claim owners. But we thought, why not give everybody a quick sneak peek of what is going to be in that alpha? All right, so there it is. This is a little bit further along in the gameplay of the alpha. I kind of skipped past some of the onboarding stuff that everyone's going to get a chance to do. But, really just wanted to take an opportunity to show as much as we could of kind of where things are at and where things have changed since, really people have only been seeing kind of images of the game up to this point. And so you can see it's full working gameplay at this point. This is Ember's Grace that we're looking at now. And these are the names of all of the different sectors in Ember's Grace. We kind of redid our whole sector visualization. We've kind of cut up each cluster into some of these smaller sectors now and, given them all kind of lore appropriate names for each zone. And so here, like I said, we're looking at Ember's Grace. I've got a couple of fleets down here in this corner. And yeah, I've discovered a bunch of this area already. So basically all of these icons that you're seeing here are all kind of areas that I've discovered versus the ones up here. These are kind of just quality icons. These are like legendary celestial objects, rare ones. We've got epic ones as well. Just accounting for the stream. I know the stream's a little bit behind my talking, so just accounting for that a little bit there. And then, yeah, so coming back down, you can see down here all of the discovered objects. And really one of the biggest pushes that we wanted to get done for the alpha is quests. So you can see now on the left-hand side panel, we've got a set of daily quests. Those will rotate for players over the course of the alpha. Basically, you'll get a new set of daily quests that you can complete each day. You earn rewards for completing those daily quests. You can click on each one of them, see the rewards that you would get for doing those quests. And And so this was a big push for us. We wanted to give players some activity to do, beyond just kind of exploration and, discovery and harvesting, which we've been kind of communicating. So I can also show a little bit of that. And as you can tell, our UI has changed a lot in the last 6 months. Even some folks who are very active in our community who've had the opportunity to see a version of this build at Galaverse, it's completely different than that. We basically overhauled almost all of the UI to try to get it to feel a little bit more intuitive. And we're not done yet. Like, there's still going to be more adjustments that we're going to make going into December. So I'll click on a point of interest here. So this is a legendary red dwarf. You can kind of zoom in and just appreciate the way that looks. Looking really nice.
Yeah, this thing is looking so good. I mean, just so you guys know, I got a chance to play it at Galaverse back in Malta, and this is looking amazing compared to back then. I mean, it was still looking good then, and I'm just like, wow, the team's done so much work to get it to this point. Just one, and quick comment, Matt, if you can jump to it, it'd be cool to see. Would be the ship itself. It'd be great to actually look at your home ship as well, just because it's cool to see the nice grandeur of that, I think.
For sure, yeah. Why don't I pop over to the home base really quick? This was kind of the biggest piece of what we showed at Galaverse, and like the tactical board, it actually looks completely different than it did then as well. Now we've actually got the camera here kind of controlled on a rail, so that you can kind of move around the entire home base and kind of get a beautiful shot of the home base throughout. And similarly, we've been working on the UI pretty extensively to really get it into a more usable state than kind of what we had for Galaverse. Galaverse was a really big, like, quick push. We just wanted to get something in the hands of the folks who joined us in Malta. But we, took a hard look at that, and we're like, what, we can do better than this. We can really improve a lot of that experience. And so you can see all the different buildings that are here. Information about each building. Some of these still have placeholder text at the moment. And each of these different buildings basically has different functions. So the foundry, this is where you would craft your capital ships. You can select a capital ship blueprint that you want to craft, and then the costs are down here, and the amount of time it takes to craft is accounted for. These are kind of your resource depots and collectors. Basically, this is your home base is always generating a slow drip of resources for you that you can kind of collect over time. Just that way, you've always got some small amount of collection kind of always happening on top of kind of the mining and harvesting actions you can do. So yeah, we're really happy with kind of how this is coming along. And like I said, like many things, this is not even its final form. We're very excited for some of the newest additions to this home base that our art team's been working very diligently on. I think right now, you're seeing a lot of very grayscale in the design, and we wanted to add a bit more color and character to the design. So I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, that we're going to be able to get that for December as well.
I am also hopeful. I would like to make that comment now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take you off the map, but I'm sure everyone wants to jump back.
Oh yeah, no. Happy to show all the hard work that the team has been doing. They've been hard at work on lots of aspects of this, and I know folks have really only seen pictures of some of the different aspects. So right now, for the alpha, we're actually just going to have all of the home bases spawning in house space, but you can kind of send your fleets and probes to wherever you need to go. So this is kind of the location of my home base in particular. You can kind of see some of the other home bases of some of our other testers just hanging out around the same spot. And then as you zoom out, you can see this is house space and the galaxy map kind of below it. And we've shown some pictures of the galaxy map, so I think people have seen this before. And now we'll head back to Ember's Grace and just show, now that we've got these two fleets in this location, we can actually do some harvesting actions relating to that. So you can select a mine, select a ship to mine that location, and off it goes. Right now, all the tuning times are really short, just for our own testing purposes.
Right.
Once it goes out in December, we're going to have those times be quite a bit longer. They could range anywhere from a range of minutes to hours. And having that diversity and what you can mine and for how long was also kind of a big push for us in the alpha, mostly because we want folks to have some optionality already just in this early experience. And the other thing that we've been talking a lot about is Stardust. We want folks to be able to earn some Stardust as a component of the alpha. So
yeah, this is awesome. I wanted to take a few questions while we're walking through this. I think one of the big ones that might needs to be reiterated. Apologies. Is this game going to be playable without an NFT?
Yes, it's a great question. That is our background in games. Both Ion and Hit Factor. We come from a background of building free-to-play games, and we felt this space needs that as well. So that's definitely a major component of our strategy. We want there to be a free-to-play path for people to come and play the game, and a lot of our designs they really kind of coalesce around all of the players having to kind of work together in a sort of symbiotic relationship, right? Mm-hmm. The NFT owners need the free-to-play players because they need folks to come and harvest and mine from their celestial objects, right? So it's kind of there's kind of a partnered experience there. We want everyone to kind of have to work together with other players in order to accomplish their goals. No one player can just go and do it by themselves. Even if you did buy an NFT, it's really about working together with other players to kind of do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that I can speak for on the Gala side that's something we want to push for to some extent, is allowing people to come and get themselves oriented in this Web3 world and the NFT world and get a chance to play some of these awesome games in and of themselves, and then eventually work their way into the space too, right? So it's super exciting that we're working with someone like you guys who've been in the free-to-play space for a long time. You guys know what you're doing. Actually, my background is in free-to-play gaming as well, so I'm very familiar with this. How we want to present these games to the community and audiences. So very awesome. Well, cool. What's next? What's next on the alpha showcase that we got here?
There's a couple. Maybe one thing that we can show is maybe I can just start moving some fleets around. Also send some probes out, just so that people can kind of see some of the different elements of what you're going to do. Some of these actions are going to take some time. So basically, you can click on any of these undiscovered celestial objects, and you can just send a probe. Right now, probes is pretty simple. They just go straight from your home base to the location that you select. And there's no cost associated with them at the moment. We just wanted folks to be able to kind of explore freely and check out the different celestial objects that are around the game world. The limit is just that you can only send 10 at a time. So once you hit the maximum of 10 probes being sent at once, then you can't send another one until one of your probes has completed its travel. So that's kind of the probe sending, and you kind of see these blue lines are kind of sending all the way down here from the home base. Up to Ember's Grace up here, down from House Space. And you can kind of see them all moving along this trail. So that's discovery. I know that's going to be a big one for a lot of our NFT owners, because they've been asking, a lot of questions around, will the map be finalized? Will we be able to kind of explore where we want to eventually have our celestial claim? And yes, that is essentially the case. We wanted this map data to be as close to final as we could get it to be, so that players can go through and explore, figure out, where they want to be situated for when we eventually do our celestial claim land rush. The one caveat to that, and one thing that we're actually working really, we're trying to work on as fast as we can. It won't be done in time for the alpha, but one thing that we really want to do to just kind of add more character to the world is that we actually want to have names for all of the places, all of the POIs. We want all of them to have like in-game world names. Right now, this is a good example. It just says like legendary brown dwarf,
right?
Which is what it is, which makes sense. But we want it to have more character than that. We want there to be some lore elements to it. So we want to give each planet, each star, kind of its own unique name that kind of situates it and grounds it in the game world a little bit better. So that'll come for beta. That'll basically be the only difference we're hoping between now and the beta from like a map generation perspective. We want the maps to be largely the same.
That's going to be awesome. I can already tell you guys right now, I'm guaranteeing it, there will be a item or a POI that will have my name on it. It'll say Amir's dwarf or Amir's star. Guaranteeing that right now. So hope you guys will enjoy that one. We'll see what ends up happening there.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to name one just after Amir, for sure.
Yeah, that has to be the case. Come on, there's no other, I'm demanding that be the case.
For
sure. That's super exciting. When it comes to these types of conversations and streams, and especially with all the work that you guys have put into this alpha, I think it'd be interesting to kind of talk to you guys about what are some of the major challenges that you guys have faced when it came to putting this together. Or obviously I think we've been talking back and forth weekly. We meet all the time and we have discussions, but it'd be good to get into like the nitty-gritty on the production side for you guys, I think, if it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of challenges, certainly.
Sure,
I think I've always said my entire career that games are hard. Games are really hard to make. I think it's really challenging to kind of meet the expectations of players and do it kind of in the time frame that the players expect of us, and we want to meet those time frames. We never want to delay, right? We always want to be able to deliver the game on kind of the timelines that we hope to be able to do it in. But I think the challenge can sometimes be that we, want to deliver the best experience that we can. And, sometimes that puts us in a situation where, delaying ends up being kind of the best choice. And I think, what we're seeing now in the build is like a good example of that. We had to overhaul, large swaths of the game from the way that it worked at Galaverse to now. The UI has been completely rebuilt, basically from the ground up, and that was less than 6 months ago.
Right.
But that's what the game demanded. I think the game needed better UI. The game needed better play experience. The Celestial Claim owners who showed support for us, we wanted to deliver on the promise of the experience that they believed that this game could be. And so that really forced us to take a hard look at what we were building and make it better than what we had originally believed it could. So I think that has certainly been a challenge. I think in this particular type of game, I keep talking about it, but UI in general is just a very, very complicated part of the process. 4X Grand Strategy games, incredibly UI intensive. And it's really hard to show a lot of information in, like an elegant way that's easy to understand, but also complex enough that players can really, strategize to their own needs. So I think that kind of redesigning that process, figuring out our UI, determining how we wanted to make adjustments and improvements, and really push that forward was definitely a big challenge for us.
Yeah, no, and that makes a lot. I mean, for myself, I've been in the games a decent bit of time now. Games are definitely hard, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So there's always a challenge when it comes to putting something out like this, especially when you're wanting to make an impression on community and audience. You want to show something that like you're really proud of, and I think this. I'm boosting here, but I have to say that it's been so far from what I've been seeing on my side and playing the game. You guys are chugging along really, really well. The game's looking nice, and agreed on the UI bit with especially 4X games. Like sometimes it's hard to make them easy to understand. And I think so far from what I've seen, it has been. Like I've been able to work through it on my own and get the feel of what it's going to be like to play this game at the start. So I think if you're for those that are Celestial Claim holders, and if you don't already have one, definitely would suggest you it'd be good maybe to pick one up and get a chance to take a look at the alpha for sure come December.
And, I think to that point, I think I say this to the community a lot, but I often say, like, you have to imagine with us a little bit. Imagine with us what this could be. The alpha is not the end of the game, right? It's like, this is just the beginning. We're going to go and build on this, and then beta will build on it, and then thereafter we'll continue to build on it, right? So there's kind of this aspect of, like, pulling back the curtain a little bit, where now a lot of folks get to be along the development journey with us, and the development journey is really bumpy. The development journey can be incredibly bumpy. So I hope everyone's willing to put on their imaginative glasses with us a little bit when they come check out this alpha. And there's going to be bumps in the road. There's definitely going to be bugs. There's definitely going to be issues that folks run into. Please tell us about those. We want to go and fix them.
Right.
And not all the parts of the game are there. We know that not all the parts of the game are there, right? We know combat's not there. We know celestial object management isn't there yet. But we're working on those so that we can get them to the things that we've been talking about with the community.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to see if there was looking at any questions that are coming into chat right now. It looks like there's a couple, but before I go there are some questions that came in from that survey that Artemis had sent out. And I think it'd be good to dive in to a few of those and actually talk about them, because I think that would be helpful for everybody on the stream today. So, this one came up, which I don't think I've had a chance to dive in with you on, but I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are around guilds. And this is specific to guilds. Will celestial claims and ships be easily identified on the map to people in the same guild? I'm going to go with yes, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah. That's definitely the goal. That's definitely the goal for guilds. We wouldn't want you to make a mistake and attack one of your guildmates, unless that's something you were trying to do. If you're trying to attack one of your guildmates, it's a little treasonous, but you could do it. But yes, we do want players to be able to see pretty clearly, who your guildmates are, where they are. If they're your teammate or your guildmate's home bases, we want them to display in a different color, or we want favoriting systems and highlight systems, so you can favorite particular celestial objects. Maybe you really like that owner, maybe they're your friend, or maybe they're from a guildmate. Whatever the case may be, we want players to have that sort of ability to be able to filter their options, right? Because right now, when you just look at the map, it's very vast. There's a lot of celestial objects, and there's no real filtering system at the moment, right? It's just, the only difference is objects you have discovered versus objects you haven't discovered. But eventually we want there to be a system through which you could filter out the icons to say, only show me my favorites, right? I just want to see my guildmates celestial objects, so that I go to the ones that I want, right?
Right. The ones that I want to, and especially the guildmates that I want to attack. That's what's most
important. Amir's definitely going to join my guild just to go.
That is, I'm so happy. I'm really happy that you've learned this so quickly about me. We've built a really strong relationship here. Well, on that note, talking about guilds, and I think I can already answer this question: will guild formation be available in the playtest right now? No, but very, very soon, and hopefully for, I believe, beta, I think is what we'd like to have that in for. I guess on that note, I know you've been walking through the alpha, maybe just providing a list to people that are on the stream that might be just joining right now. If you can go down, what can people expect to see in the alpha? I think would be a good question to go kick off.
Yeah, so the big things that we're expecting players to be able to experience in the alpha is, we just want players to be able to kind of check out the basics of a bunch of stuff, right? So we did create like a onboarding quest set that just kind of has some informational text on kind of some of the main things that you can do in the alpha. There's really basic home base progression. We have players kind of earn some blueprints and then craft some ships. Those are the ships that you would then go and use to kind of fly around in the tactical board. And on the tactical board, that's kind of where you'll be focused around, discovery and exploration. You can use probes to your heart's content. Discover as many celestial objects as you want. You can do mining and harvesting actions. And as I've been talking about previously, you'll earn Stardust for those mining and harvesting actions. So as you complete a mining or harvesting action, you'll also earn Stardust as a byproduct of that. We're going to retain all of the Stardust data of all the players who participate in the alpha, and then we'll use that to determine what the first supply emissions will be proportionally to all the players who earn Stardust in the alpha. You can actually see the little Stardust icon in here. It's just a placeholder. It's a little star icon. It's just a placeholder. We're definitely not going to use the little star icon for Stardust. A little too on the nose, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Just a placeholder. But yeah, that's kind of a big piece of it. And then the other aspect is the daily quests. Once you get through all of the onboarding quests, you've completed, I think it's a set of 4 or 5 onboarding quests, then you'll get your daily quests from that point forward. And you can complete those quests to earn more resources, do a little bit more home base progression, and just get a sense of kind of like what the game kind of will look and feel like from those aspects. Big pieces that we know are missing. Social features. We know the social features are missing. There's no chat right now, no friend system, no guilds. We know those are missing. Combat is another big one. Combat is, something that we want to spend a really long, significant chunk of time on, dedicated time on. So it's going to take us a little while to kind of dial that in. So that's not in the build either. The other aspect is like in travel, in fleet travel, there will also be different travel types. So there'll be solar sail, fusion drive, and warp drive. In the final game, fusion drive will actually cost fuel. So you will have a fuel capacity for your ship. And based on that fuel capacity, that's how far you can travel using fusion drive. Warp drive, don't mind engine yeet name. That's our engineers. That's our engineering only. That will be out for December. You guys do not get engine yeet name.
Unless we want to take a vote after this and say, does engine yeet name need to stay as one of the modes of travel, then maybe we can talk about that.
We'll think about it. But warp drive, that'll be, it'll be very limited capacity, basically. Like warp drive is something that you could maybe use once a day or once every other day. It's something that would be super rare. You would use like a one-time, I think the way we're thinking about it right now is you would use a one-time token for it, not cryptocurrency token, just in-game token. And you would just exchange that for 1 warp drive use, and you could go as far as you need to go very quickly. And then solar sail, that's in the cases that you don't have any fuel, you don't have anything going for you right now. You're just out on your luck and you ran out of fuel. You need to get back to a fuel depot. You could still always use solar sail to get wherever you need to go. But as you can see, the travel time's pretty slow. Even just to go this distance within a single sector is 20 minutes, which is pretty slow. So
I just a quick comment. I made the mistake I was messing around with the different modes of travel, and I was like, oh, I'll try out solar sail because I was understanding, and I was moving to a completely separate sector of the map, and it was like 5 or 8 hours, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I know now I want to stick to warp drive going forward.
Yeah, that is a question we get. That is a question we get a lot. So I'll show that one. Even to just go like, let's say across this one cluster, fusion drive, that's 14 minutes, the way that we have it tuned right now. Solar sail, that's 2 hours 25 minutes. So pretty significant difference there. Yep. And then warp drive is less than a minute, so very quick.
Yeah, no, it was a mistake that I needed to make in order to learn. It was it was good. I don't know if this makes sense to you, Matt, but I think it'd be great if maybe you could do just one of the quests and we can show it off if that makes sense to you.
Sure. I've got a fleet available here. I got this other one kind of moving. So why don't I? All right, so this one, let's see. We've got send a fleet to an epic POI. So in order to send a fleet to a POI, you have to discover it first. So I got to find one of my discovered epics. This guy looks like an epic one. So if I send this, we'll use warp drive. It's 4 seconds. We'll send this fleet over, and that quest should complete. Let's see what happens. Oh, would you look at that? Did not complete. I think I just found a bug.
There we go. This is why we do this testing, though. It's important for us to.
This is why we do the testing.
Yeah, exactly. This is why we do testing. We're by the time we roll out the alpha in December, it won't be bug free, but it'll definitely have.
It will definitely not be bug free. It will definitely not. I can promise it will not be bug free. Here, let me see what I got here. I might be able to complete one of these commerce ones. Let me give that one a try.
Sure.
I'm going to use engine yeet name just to move things along here. But yeah, while we're waiting for that, any other questions?
Yeah, actually, I was about to pick one out. I wanted to make sure I had it for you right now. I think this is a good question only because it talks about what you mentioned earlier in this stream, which was the map will stay the same come beta. This question comes, I wish you guys had put names on these. I would have been able to call you out, but not anymore. Will the resource distribution also be the same? So, for instance, like, let's say planet A at coordinates X, Y, will that keep offering the same resources in beta and beyond?
Yeah, that is absolutely our plan. So what we've been communicating to folks is that based on the quality of the celestial object, it'll produce different resources. So legendaries, they produce all three raw resources. Epics produce 2 types chosen at random. Rares and uncommons produce 1 type each. And so I can just show that really quickly. So just to wrap up this note here, we finished this commerce unload resources quest. I'm actually going to get a blueprint for that. That's a pretty good reward.
That's awesome. It's a great reward.
Yeah, so just finish that guy up. So yeah, here, why don't I go back to Ember's Grace really quick, and I can show you that the harvesting is actually indicative of the rarity or quality already. So we've got a rare standard planet here. And if you go into the harvesting, you can see that the only mineable resource at this location is ore. So
got it.
The plan is for all of that to stick through into the beta. Same thing here. When you go to this legendary brown dwarf, this has mines for all 3. So the one caveat to what I'm saying here is that the way that we've designed the alpha is without celestial claim ownership in the build yet. So the number of mines will be variable based on when that eventually becomes an owned POI, an owned celestial object, and then players level it up, tier it up over time. Then the number of mines will increase. These mines are just kind of placeholder for now, while everything is like technically like a tier 1 celestial object. Let me see this rare one. Yeah, so you can see this one rare here, composite only. So yeah, basically the choices there are we're expecting for those to be permanent from the alpha to the beta.
Got it. Awesome. I hope that answers your question, whoever you are, because you didn't leave your name. So we'll just leave it at that. One of the things that we did just raise is there are bugs in an alpha, obviously. So what makes sense for people if they encounter a bug? Where should they go and report those, or who should they talk to? What makes sense? I think it's important for us to talk about it. So
of course. We are expecting from our side for this alpha to be a pretty hand-holdy experience. We're expecting from the development side to be pretty involved with the community as you guys are experiencing the alpha. We want to be there to support you guys. And the best way for us to do that currently is through the 2 Discords that we have. The Gala Discord, that's a great place to report bugs, and our Echoes of Empire Discord as well. We'll be kind of ingesting bugs through that. We'll prioritize them and work on them accordingly. And we're going to be really involved in both of those places. We're going to have devs from our side kind of in those channels, talking to folks. If people have questions or things are unclear, we want to be there to help folks get through that stuff. We're also hoping to do a bit more of a video walkthrough, maybe at our next YouTube dev stream. We may do like a video walkthrough of like the entire onboarding experience, so that players can kind of see how the different aspects of that onboarding work, in case that's something that they want to reference, right? And then if you're just a player who wants to kind of figure it out on your own, cool, no problem. We would love for you to go and figure it out on your own. But there may be some people who, want that walkthrough, and we want to be able to deliver that to the community as kind of a helping hand through the alpha. Because like we said, we know it's a little rough around the edges, but we didn't want that to stop us from letting you guys check out working software and see that there is a game here.
Yeah, no, I think that, and on that note, I will make sure that on our end that we have both of those Discord links are dropped into the stream today. We'll make sure that they're posted in anywhere else that need to be posted, so you can definitely jump in when the alpha goes live, and you can provide any feedback that you guys encounter, because that's important to us, obviously, here at Gala. We need that from you all.
Yeah, and just one additional note I want to add on that is the community feedback is super important to us. I think the community is used to interacting with me, and I'm always very open to suggestions, particularly in this new kind of area of the games industry, where we're also trying to figure out all of these blockchain aspects and cryptocurrencies and token economics. There's a lot of complicated aspects of that, and we're very open to suggestions both on that side and on the game side. And so when we're through all of this, when the alpha has ended, we're also going to have a survey. We want all the feedback that we can gather from all the people who participated, checked it out, played it. I'm sure there are a lot of you who have a lot of thoughts that are going to be super helpful for us as we continue through development. So if you're a person who's planning to participate, we'd love to hear from you. We want your feedback. Doing it in the Discord is a great way to talk with us directly, but the survey is also just going to help us get some more of that qualitative data to really, kind of aggregate it into something usable that we can kind of take down the road.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call out, honestly, for everybody out there, that this feedback is super important for all of us. In that sense that, like Matt said, that this is a new area of the gaming space that we're all figuring out together, and I think it's been a lot of fun working with Matt, just personally for myself, talking with them about how they're thinking about the game on their end and how we're thinking about the game. It's been really important to have that kind of open dialogue, and it's always good to hear directly from the community as well. Sorry, I wanted to make sure there was one other thing that I wanted to cover. Yes, this question came up, and you know what? I don't think we've talked about this, Matt, which is, can Gala Gold members get access to the playtest? And I think we've said right now we want to keep it small and have Celestial Claim holders. But we'll take that one as a note and see what we can come up with. But I think right now, obviously, sticking with Celestial Claim holders, because we want to, and you can correct me on this, we want to keep it kind of compact and let those users jump in and get a chance at the game. And it's still early days, obviously, so keep things as tight as we can.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. We do want to keep this one limited to our Celestial Claim owners. They're a very important part of our community. They've been on this ride with us for quite some time, and they've had a lot of patience with us too. It's been a turbulent year. There have been times where we wish we could have delivered more, and we've had to delay several times, in fact. And I know that's been a growing frustration, and that's a big part of why we want to deliver this, is so that our Celestial Claim owners can see that there is work behind this, and there are reasons why we've had to kind of go through some of those delays to kind of get towards some of these improved experiences. We want to keep it kind of tight, limited to our Celestial Claim owners. And the biggest piece of that, I would say, is because we're going to be giving out Stardust as a component of the alpha, and we want that to be specifically a reward for our Celestial Claim owners. We think that's a reward that they deserve. And so, we want it to be kind of close to that goal.
Right, 100%. And that makes complete sense. And you know what? I think it's worth also mentioning right now, and we'll say it again probably in the Discord as well. Typically in the past, whenever we were providing these access to the the builds and etc., we would do a snapshot and have a certain snapshot date. That actually won't be necessary for the alpha playtest. When we announce the date, when it comes, if you are a Celestial Claim holder and it is in your Gala wallet, you will have to move it to your Gala wallet. That is one thing to be certain of. Then you will get access to playing the alpha. But there won't be a set in stone static date where we will then everyone has to make a mad dash to move it into their Gala wallet. We do a snapshot and then distribute on an account basis. Instead, it'll be us able to query that data on our end as long as that Celestial Claim is actually in your wallet. So that I think is a pretty big change for us, and I'm sure a lot of you are probably hopefully relieved by that. Just as long as you, I will reiterate, move it into your Gala wallet. So, which I think the EOE team was excited about that one as well.
yeah, we're definitely excited about that one. Amir and his team have been hard at work getting that going for some of the other launches they've been doing across their portfolio as well. But yeah, we're super excited that we get to reap the benefits of that. I think it just makes it cleaner for everyone. And yeah, it'll be super straightforward. Once you've got your Celestial Claim in your Gala wallet, you'll get access to the alpha build.
Now, I think this is a big, we still got plenty of time, but I think this question's popped up a few times now. I've seen it in the chat now. When alpha?
Yeah, of course. It's always when. It's always when.
Always when. So yeah. I'll let you answer that one.
For sure. We're super close. We're super close on getting a date. We don't have it quite finalized yet. There's just a few hoops that both Amir and I are really both jumping through at the moment to make sure that we are all agreed on the date that it's going to happen. December, for sure. December. That is the goal. That has always been the goal. That has not changed. We haven't nailed down a specific date just yet. But rest assured, as soon as I have it, the community will have it. As soon as I have it, the community will have it.
Yeah, that's actually why I'm withholding that information from Matt, because if he gets it, then he'll just tell everybody. And I'm like, oh no, just kidding.
It's true. Amir's just been giving me the runaround. He's like, could be some date. We'll see.
Yeah, no. This all goes back to the earlier component that we talked about in the stream, is that we want to make sure that this is a smooth playtest for you guys. So I think Matt and his team are hard at work making sure that it is obviously not going to be fully polished, but as polished as possible, that you guys have a great experience while playing the game. And then that we at Gala feel that you guys are going to have that experience too. So we want to make sure that that's the case before we start announcing dates. But I would say be on the lookout in the coming weeks. I'm sure we will be announcing it soon. Yeah, that'll be pretty exciting. Another question that just came up, which is someone asked, how do you get a Celestial Claim?
Good question. So we did an original sale on the Gala store. We did that sale last year, in winter of last year. As of right now, we don't have any Celestial Claims up for sale on the Gala store, but you can still purchase them resale on OpenSea. There are still some available via OpenSea. So even folks who purchase them via OpenSea, you will still be counted as a Celestial Claim owner. You can still participate in the alpha, just like as Amir said. Once you get it from OpenSea, it goes into your Ethereum wallet. Just make sure you transfer it to your Gala wallet, and you'll be good to go from there.
Awesome. I think we got a lot of good administrative questions out of the way. I think I want to go back to some of these more game-specific questions, which I think are pretty interesting. The chief among them is someone asked a question about upgrading blueprints, and I know we haven't really talked too much about that, but I think it would be good. I will quote this word for word and let Matt take it. So the question is, to upgrade the tier of flagship blueprints, we need power cores. Those are from Mach 4 flagship blueprints, but how do we have those? By burning what? The NFT, the ship? Those are all question marks at the end. So I will leave that over to Matt.
Yeah, it's a good question. So actually there's like two variants of power cores. I think I called them power cores and dark matter power cores. So power cores are actually just earned via manufacturing. So if you have any variation of a blueprint, whether that's origin through Mark IV, As you do manufacturing, there will be a percent drop rate of power cores, and you'll use those power cores to upgrade or tier up your blueprints. I think as you tier up, I think the current design is as you tier up, you'll need more power cores. So, you'll kind of have to keep manufacturing, and as you keep manufacturing more ships, eventually you'll get more power cores. You use those power cores to then do the tier up. Dark matter power cores, those you'll have to burn Mark IV NFTs for. In exchange for a Mark IV NFT, we'll give you a dark matter power core. You can use those to do an instant upgrade. So you could go directly from tier 1 to tier 2 with just one of them. And you'd only ever need one for every tier. And right now, the way that all of our kind of progression systems work is there's a level aspect and a tier aspect. So if you're doing it the normal way, where you're doing just with regular power cores, you would have to go level up your blueprint up to the level max. Then once you hit the level max, then you can spend the power cores to do the tier upgrade, right? So that's the advantage of the dark matter power cores, is you can just skip all of that. You just skip all of the levels. You don't have to hit a level max. You could just tier up instantly. Also, normally when you do a tier upgrade, and this is again same across all of our progressible assets, when you do a tier upgrade, typically it costs resources and time. And as you go up in tier, the longer it will take you to do it. So those dark matter power cores also allow you to skip the time aspect of the tier up process. So it's super valuable to do it that way.
Awesome. Yeah. No, if you were on the stream, I'm pretty sure that I answered the question. So
yeah.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. This one is interesting. And I think it's worth noting is this. Okay. Thank you. Someone finally put their name. This is from Cristiano. And he has a question about house space and how to avoid being robbed offline. So the question is, what is to prevent people from moving/logging off in-house space to avoid being robbed offline? I understand traveling is cumbersome, but it could be factored in. So
yeah, that's a fair point. I don't have a great answer for that one today. Don't have a great answer for that one. I think we may end up needing to have protections against that. I think previously, we communicated that you could always return to house space if you wanted to return to house space. But there's a chance that we may have to put limits on that. We could put like very long cooldowns on it. So if you return to house space, you couldn't do it again for, weeks, for example. So that might be one way that we could solve for that, is like, if you make the decision to go back to house space, you'd have to stay there for a very long time. And you couldn't kind of either come back to a frontier cluster, or if you did come back to a frontier cluster, you couldn't go back to house space again. So there are some limits that we can kind of create. We probably wouldn't want to remove the option entirely for people to go back to house space, but there are some mechanisms we can use. I think cooldowns is typically a fine tool in the tool shed for us to kind of do that. But yeah, don't have an answer to that one today. It's a good one for us to think about. But we definitely want to kind of avoid those sorts of situations where you could just kind of very easily avoid elements of danger. We definitely want there to be some elements of danger. So
yeah, and actually on that point, Cristiano had a follow-up question, which I was like, all right, my man he had like 5 questions, and I'm just trying to be as respectful to you as possible and everyone else, Cristiano. He says, we talked about this last time about combat happening only at points of interest. But Shadow had mentioned that he would think about this because it left home bases and ships traveling around totally safe. Oh, sorry, I apologize. And there always needs to be an element of danger. There you go. Will this shift to all-out possible PvP? And I don't think we've talked about this, Matt, yet, but I'm curious, so go ahead.
Yeah, so PvP will still be asynchronous, right? That's still the goal. I think there are ways for us to allow for combat to happen with either a home base or a fleet that's in motion. I think an idea that I've kind of discussed with the team is a way of creating a temporary point of interest. Just basically some sort of mechanism that creates a temporary point of interest for an object that's in motion. So what's a good example of that? A good example is, there are going to be warp gates between clusters. So let's say that somebody's trying to go across a cluster. The way it works in the alpha right now, you can just fly across. There's no semblance of like stopping at a warp gate and having to travel across the warp gate to go. But there will be in the beta, and so that kind of creates a POI point where somebody would have to go through a warp gate really in order to kind of cross cluster lines. And in that case, we can use that POI as an opportunity for an element of danger. So even if I'm maybe sending a fleet across a cluster, and it's going to take a long time to do it, there's still a stop point at the warp gate where I'm at risk of being attacked while I am there. So there's that element that we're kind of looking to kind of create even for things that are in motion. Another one that we've talked about as an idea, and this is purely hypothetical at this point, we don't know if we'll be able to do this one, but I think it's a pretty cool idea, is creating some sort of like space barricade, right? Where you could have, say, like there's a bunch of guild owned territory. You could create some sort of barricading line where if a cargo fleet was trying to pass through that barricade, it would get stopped, and then you would create a temporary POI at that location,
right?
And then the opposing guild could fly ships into the location to attack that cargo ship. So those are the kind of elements where a lot of the time fleets in motion or home base in motion will be relatively safe. A lot of the time it'll be relatively safe, but we still want there to be this aspect of like, you have to kind of watch where you're going a little bit, figure out the territory around you and make sure you're kind of taking a route that is optimal so that you don't run into some of those traps.
Yeah, no, I think that makes, as you were talking about the warp gate, it made me think, you think there's a possibility that is not specific on the EOE side, but something that could be player owned or something that in that respect? I think that could be pretty interesting, where it's almost like a gateway. It is acting as that gateway, but it's, maybe there's a tax involved that players have to pay, or if not, then you enter into some sort of battle. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Just what I'm thinking about off the top of my head. So ignore it. This is me in the ideation mode. I'm thinking after you mentioned that. So
100%. And we're always looking for more opportunities for stuff like that. I think, I've talked to the community a little bit about that same sort of thing happening at fuel depots, right? Fuel depots is like a great example of a point of interest that could be player owned in some way, or some form or fashion. It doesn't even necessarily have to be NFT ownership. It could be temporary, like a deed of ownership.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Where maybe you own this fuel depot for 12 hours, and anyone who comes to use that fuel depot, maybe you get a tax cut from it. Or maybe you could set it up as a trap. Somebody that comes to use that fuel depot, you're a combat player, you prefer combat as kind of your means of
you're speaking my language, man. That sounds like me all the way. I'm setting up that trap specifically so that way you come and use it.
That's me, just so that I come use it.
I'm actually gonna name it the Map Fuel Depot.
Of course, and I gotta go to that one. It's got
it's got your name on it. That makes sense, So sorry guys, I like to have fun in this. In these situations. So I think, to me, like the big takeaway I have from this is the combat side of things is it's still we're in an exploration phase on your side. Like, you guys are always thinking of coming up with new ideas and also open to feedback from the community on it, from what I gather. And I think that the PvP elements of this game will be very, very fun for sure, just based on how we've been discussing it internally when we've had our conversations, and then also just from hearing it from you today. So
totally, yeah. We're always kind of looking for new ideas on that. We're always kind of thinking as critically as we can about how we want to build that system. I think we've got some big pillars of the way that we're thinking about it. Asynchronous combat, definitely kind of a major aspect of that. Combat primarily happening at some sort of point of interest. That's kind of another major pillar of the design. But yeah, we do still want there to be some strategic interplay, even with those kind of being the backbone of the system. We still want there to be strategic play between the attacking player and the defending player. That's still going to be really important.
That's awesome. Well, let's let me see if there's another question here that I think would make sense. That last question, they just segued so pretty. I just didn't know. I was like, man, it was perfect. Like, and now I'm like, oh, you know what? Here's a good one. Cristiano, I feel like I'm giving you too much love here today, man. But here you go. Any new news on the idea of claim owners being able to own additional ships per claims? Plus or minus max ships per celestial rarity.
No new information on that right now. I think that's something that will kind of spawn out of our next big tranche of work.
Right.
One of those being combat, which we just talked about, but the other one being celestial object ownership. We've done some of the initial documentation and legwork for that already, but there are a lot of finer details that we still need to work out. This one being an important aspect of that. I feel pretty strongly that claim owners should still get some additional number of fleet spots based on the number of celestial claims they have. We don't know what the right number is right now. We don't know what the right number is. I can say with confidence, though, that it won't be so many that you could run celestial claims on your own.
Right.
So Zeta, I'm looking at you, Zeta. I know you got so many celestial claims. So many. You're not going to be able to run them all by yourself, but
the call out too. I love it. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm just joking. Zeta knows that he can't run them by himself. He and I have talked about it already, so he knows. But just he's a very active community member who everyone knows has a lot of celestial claims. So that is an important piece of it. That's again, kind of one of the pillars of our design is we think it's very important and valuable that different types of players in the community have to interact with each other. So celestial claim owner, you can't do it all by yourself.
Right.
So we'll never give you so many fleets that you can just run your own celestial claim by yourself and live happily. You'd have to work with other players.
Right. I think at the end of the day, a 4X game, you want to be interacting with the rest of the community and interacting with the rest of the people in the game itself. So I think that's at the core of what this game is. It's important for that to be the case,
Totally.
I think those were some of the big ones. We've got 3 minutes here, so I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
There is actually just one more housekeeping thing that I wanted to mention. Yes. It'll be super quick. Previously we had been communicating to our player community that we were planning to do the alpha for 30 days. We were going to do it from some point in December, basically into January. And we, spoke with Gala about that. We kind of talked about it internally, and we just felt like we probably wouldn't be able to give the community as hands-on of an experience if we were doing it for that long, particularly as we're kind of going through the holiday period. So we are going to shorten the alpha period to be just 7 days. So we're going to do a 7-day alpha period so that we can be really involved. Gala can be really involved, having folks in our Discord channels, talking to the community, helping you guys through any of the aspects of the gameplay, cataloging bugs, and then at the end, collecting the survey. So, it was really important to us that we could be really involved in the process. And we felt like we might deteriorate that experience a little bit if the alpha was quite a bit longer. So we're just going to do it for 7 days, full access for 7 days. And then we'll shut it off after that.
Excellent. Well, I think this has been awesome. I think judging by the questions in the chat room that I've seen and some of the excitement I've seen, everybody seems to be stoked about the alpha and being able to actually get a look and see it at the new UI, the new look at the game. I'm sure many of you will be excited to go pick up a Celestial Claim, is my guess. Just so it's clear, there will be an article published probably next week that'll again detail out everything that you will need to know about the alpha as it relates to administrative pieces. So like I said, owning a Celestial Claim is what you need to play the game. The game will be 7 days, or the alpha will be 7 days long, and then hopefully during that time frame we'll also be able to announce the actual date of the alpha. But yeah, I think this has been an awesome time, Matt. I've really enjoyed being on here, and also this was my first time doing this, so I hope I did everybody proud that's been watching. So it's super exciting. I think this is going to be, I'm so stoked to be part of the Echo, working with you guys on the Echo side. So everybody keep their eyes peeled for when we announce that alpha date.
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for hosting, Amir. Appreciate it. You did a great job. Great job. Great job.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you all so much for sticking around and watching, and we will see you next time. Alrighty.
All right. Bye.